I got home around 11:30 p.m., drained from a brutal double shift at the warehouse. My clothes smelled like motor oil. My feet were throbbing and I hadn't eaten since breakfast. All I wanted was a hot shower and silence. Instead, I opened the door to my old bedroom and froze. Everything was gone. The bookshelf I built in college, my framed certification letter, even the string lights my best friend helped hang last Christmas, all replaced. In the middle of the room stood my 15-year-old brother Elijah, swinging a baseball bat and shouting stats into his headset. My clothes were stuffed into trash bags, slumped in the corner like donations. I stood there, heart pounding, as Elijah glanced over. Unfazed. "Oh, you're back," he said, not pausing his game. "Mum said I could have the room. It's bigger." His casual tone cut deeper than the trashed bags. My nameplate from trade school sat face down near the door. Then I heard my stepmother's voice behind me. "You'll be staying in the sunroom until you figure out your next steps. No apology, just logistic." I turned to her slowly. "You didn't tell me." "You've been home for months, Avery," she said, arms folded. "Elijah's a teenager now. He needs space." "You could at least warned me," I snapped, voice shaking. She shrugged, eyes cold. "We didn't think you'd care. You're barely here." Her words landed like a slap. Dismissing my existence. In my own home. This was always temporary. My stepdad didn't even pause the TV, just flipped to the Celtics game and muttered, "Let's not make this a thing." I clenched my fist, biting back a scream. "Not a thing," I said, voice low. "You threw out my life." He didn't look up. "Grow up, Avery, it's just a room." I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I walked to the sunroom, picked up the trash bags, and started sorting what was still mine. They'd taught me to respect the house, the rules, the unspoken rankings. I just hadn't realised I'd already been voted out, so I respected it. I respected it so much, I left it, but standing barefoot in the hallway of my parents' Boston condo, holding a trash bag filled with my life, I made a quiet promise. They wanted me out. Fine, I'd figure it out. But I wouldn't just scrape by. I'd show them I was more than their afterthought. I'd become someone they couldn't overlook ever again. When I moved home last fall after finishing trade school, I had a plan. It wasn't glamorous, I just needed a year to work, save money, and prep for a stable career. I'd graduated top 10 in my class. No debt, no scandals, just long nights and exhaustion. I thought that counted for something. But that first night back, Mum handed me a chore list like I was a kid. "Earn your keep," she said, smirking. I nodded, swallowing my pride, thinking it was temporary. At first they acted proud. My mum baked lemon squares. My dad called me Technician Avery at dinner, half joking. We laughed. I thought we were all on the same page. I picked up shifts at the factory while preparing for interviews. I did laundry, paid for groceries. I wasn't freeloading. I was surviving, focused, grateful. But at dinner one night, Dad leaned back and said, "You're not exactly setting the world on fire, are you?" I froze, fork midair. "I'm trying," I said. He chuckled. "Trying's not enough." But around month 3, things shifted. My mum got snappy. She'd say things like, "Avery, can you be useful?" Even when I was literally folding towels or filling out licensing paperwork, the comments turned colder. Jabs about motivation, work ethic. Then came Lila, my 16-year-old sister. Loud, charming, star of the family. She'd barge into my room tossing her stuff on my bed. "You don't need all this space," she said once, eyeing my desk. "You just isn't here." She started signing dramatically about needing space for her portfolio and how sharing a room was ruining her creative flow. At first I laughed. Teenagers, right? But my mum didn't laugh. And my dad just shrugged. "Hang in there, kiddo," he said. I kept thinking if I stayed quiet, kept being helpful, I'd earn my spot again. Turns out I was wrong. One evening, Lila cornered me in the kitchen. "Mum says you're dragging us down," she taunted. "Well, don't you just leave?" I stared, stunned. "This is my home too," I said. She laughed. "Not anymore." But the truth was, I was invisible in my own house. Not loud enough to be a problem, not impressive enough to be respected. I started noticing my things being moved. Technical manuals I'd spent years annotating was stuffed behind board games. My work jacket was wrinkled on the laundry room floor. I found my journal, pages torn in the trash. Oops, Lila said when I confronted her. Thought it was junk. The hairdryer I always kept in the bathroom vanished, and Lila acted like it had always been hers. Then she posted a TikTok dancing in my old room. I asked her to take it down. She smirked. Relax, nobody even knows it's yours. And that's what stung. She was right. It didn't feel like mine anymore. Not the furniture, not the walls, not the air. You're pathetic, she added, scrolling her phone. Cling to this room like it's your personality. I walked away, her laughter echoing. I began shrinking inside a house I once called home. I told myself to be patient. I had interviews coming up. I was almost there, just a little more time. Then one night, I overheard my mum talking to Mrs. Rodriguez from next door while they trimmed the front hedges. Avery needs a wake-up call. Mum said she's been coddled long enough. Mrs. Rodriguez said nothing, just offered a tight smile. I leaned against the wall, tears burning. Coddled? I whispered to myself. I'd been breaking my back to please them. I stood in the hallway, the weight of that sentence settling behind my ribs. I wasn't her daughter anymore. I was a burden, a problem. And a week later, I came home from a shift at the factory to find my room wasn't mine anymore. Looking back, maybe I should have seen it coming, but when your family says they're proud of you, you want to believe them. I wanted to believe I still had a place here. I thought home was where you could go when you didn't have it all figured out. I was wrong. That first night in the den, sleeping on the floor, I wasn't just cold. I felt erased. And the next morning, I woke up angry. I didn't show it. I folded the blanket, grabbed my tote, and left early for my shift at the factory. The receptionist noticed right away. You okay, Avery? She asked. I forced a smile. Just family stuff. She nodded. But her pity stung worse than Mum's words. I wasn't smiling. I didn't laugh at Mr. Lee's usual corny joke, and when a co-worker muttered something snide about my mood, I nearly snapped. But I didn't. I took a breath and kept moving. Home. I kept quiet. I came in late, stayed out longer. I'd started applying to technical positions like it was my second full-time job. I hid my laptop screen when Lila walked by, knowing she'd mock my ambition. 25 applications in 2 weeks. Most in cities I'd never even been to anywhere but here. My mum didn't ask how I was holding up. She asked when I'd start contributing more now that I was rent-free. You're living here for free, she said one night, arms crossed. The least you could do is act grateful. I bit my tongue. I pay for groceries, I said. She scoffed. Bear. My younger sister Nora had already moved into my old room, painted it blush pink, hung up fairy lights, called it her study sanctuary. She told her friends I'd moved out like I was a ghost. You're basically squatting, she said once, twirling her hair. When you get a real life. I gripped my coffee mug, silent, her words carving deeper each time. One afternoon, I got home early and heard my parents talking to a neighbour on the porch. Ava's floundering, Mum said. She's smart, but she's always been a little soft. Dad chimed in. She'll figure it out. Maybe the pressure's good for her. I stood in the hallway stunned. Soft? I muttered, pacing the den later. I'm the one keeping this family afloat. That night, as I ate a frozen dinner, Nora strolled in, glanced at my plate and said, Really? Is that your big technician meal? No wonder you're stuck. I didn't reply, I just stared. You're embarrassing, she added, flipping her hair. Everyone knows you're failing. I stood, plate in hand, and left the room. Her giggle followed me. Later that night, I opened my laptop to search for apartments. And then I saw it. The house next door was for sale. It looked like a wreck, but it was quiet, empty, and not my parents' house. I clicked save and kept scrolling, but my mind stayed fixed on that listing. I imagined walking through its door, free from their judgment, their rules. A few days later, I saw a couple walking through the yard with a realtor. I felt something twist tight in my chest. That house wasn't anything special, but suddenly I didn't want anyone else living there. I pictured strangers waving from the porch just steps away from the people who made it clear I didn't belong. I couldn't let it slip away. Not this time. I wasn't ready to leave Boston, but I also couldn't stay under my parents' roof one more day. So I started calculating. I pulled up my savings account. I checked what I had left from tutoring during trade school. I emailed a few former classmates about side work, editing technical reports, certification prep, job application reviews. I worked late into the night, fueled by defiance, determined to escape. I made a spreadsheet, gave myself 120 days, and told no one. Not my dad, not my old trade school roommate, definitely not my mum. They still thought I was figuring things out. Now, just not how they assumed. There wasn't going to be a dramatic exit. No slam doors, no shouting. I wasn't giving them that story. I'd leave on my terms, quietly, triumphantly. I was done asking for space in a house where I was treated like a burden. I was going to carve out a space of my own. That house next door wasn't just real estate, it was a quiet rebellion. So I cut expenses to the bone. Took factory night shifts, freelance writing gigs. I turned every dollar into distance. Every paycheck was a step toward freedom, a brick in my new foundation. Every evening I walked past that peeling white fence like it was already mine. I named my budget folder Next Door because soon it would be. If Avery's quiet strength and journey toward reclaiming her space spoke to something in you, tap subscribe because her story isn't over and the next chapter might just be the one you've been waiting for. Your support fuels my fight, my fire, That account became my lifeline. Every transfer into it felt like reclaiming a part of myself. A month in, I finally reached out to the listing agent. Her name was Megan. She met me at the house one quiet Thursday morning. Mum was at work, Nora was at school. The house looked even worse up close. "It's a fixer-upper," Megan said, hesitating. "You sure about this?" I nodded. I've never been surer. Peeling paint, crooked fence, carpet that had seen better decades. A bird's nest lodged beneath the porch light. "I know it needs a lot," Megan said gently, "but for someone willing to put in the effort, it's a gem." I nodded. I didn't flinch. I didn't see rot. I saw freedom, the exact distance I needed to stay near my past but never live in it again. "This is my chance," I told her. "I'm taking it." "How fast can we move?" I asked. Megan blinked. "Are you pre-approved?" "I'm paying in full," I said. She stared, trying to gauge if I was serious. I was. By the end of the week, we were under contract. I signed the final papers alone. In that moment, pen in hand, I felt the weight of their doubt lift. I was doing this. Me. Sitting in the corner booth of a quiet coffee shop after my night shift at the factory. When the confirmation email came through, I tapped the signature box without hesitation. I was officially a homeowner. I didn't celebrate, not yet. The place needed work, and I wanted to do it with my own hands. I didn't tell Mum or Nora or anyone, really. This was mine, and I'd protect it. I showed up with a mop, a bucket, and a battered toolbox I bought off Craigslist. I scrubbed patch-painted walls in a moody blue I'd always loved, but never been allowed to choose. And in the back, I cleared the rocky mess and built a pool. Small, serene, lined up exactly with one window in my parents' kitchen. Every hammer swing was a declaration. I am enough. Then one morning, I packed my things, left my old house key on the hall table, and walked 50 foot next door. Opened the door to my own house barefoot, tired and proud. No one helped me, no one clapped, but I had done something more important than proving them wrong. I had proven myself right. I stood in my empty living room, tears falling, whispering, I did it. The first time they saw the pool, it was early on a Sunday morning. I was stretched out on a lounger with a glass of iced coffee in hand, a towel draped over the chair, sunglasses on, phone set aside. I wasn't performing. I just wasn't hiding. The water caught the sunlight like it had something to say. "Nora," your voice broke the silence. "You think this makes you better than us?" she yelled from the fence. I didn't look up. "I think it makes me happy," I said. The little waterfall I installed bubbled gently, the only sound in the yard. Their kitchen window had the clearest view. I saw the curtain shift. My mum's silhouette stood behind it. Still quiet. She didn't open the window. She didn't wave. She just watched. I didn't gloat. I didn't look back. That moment wasn't for her. It was for me, but I knew she saw me, and that was enough. A few days later, my dad came to the fence. I'd just finished watering the lavender by the back gate. "Avery," he said softly. I turned. "You did all this?" "Most of it. Had help with the pool." He nodded. "Looks good. Real good." "Thanks." He shifted a little. "Your mum was surprised." "I figured. She thinks you're reckless," he added. "Throwing away your future." I smiled thinly. "My future's right here." "She thought you were still figuring things out." "I was. This is what I figured out." He looked at me for a long second. "You should come by for dinner sometime." I let the silence stretch. "I might," I said. He nodded once and walked away. That was the only real conversation we had that winter. But I saw the flicker of regret in his eyes, and it fueled me. My mum never spoke to me, never stepped across the driveway. But something in her changed. She stopped calling me lost. She started calling me Avery. Stiffness, like she was forcing herself not to look, like not seeing it would somehow make it less real. Nora, of course, reacted exactly how I expected. She stormed over, furious. "You're so selfish," she spat. "This pool's just to rub it in our faces." I shrugged. "Oh, maybe I just wanted to swim." One afternoon, she stomped over in her platform sandals, sunglasses perched like a crown. "You really had to put in a pool," she snapped. "It's hot in Boston," I said, gesturing calmly. "Hydration is essential." She eyed the clean porch, the fresh white trim, the new patio chairs I assembled myself. "Mum says, you're just showing off." "Did she say that from the kitchen window or the garden hose?" I asked. Nora's face reddened. "You're a joke," she hissed. "This won't last." I smiled. "Watch me." She turned and walked off in a cloud of indignation. But I didn't feel the usual guilt, just clarity. I had chased their approval like it was oxygen for years. Now I was finally breathing on my own. That weekend, I hosted a quiet dinner. A few trade school friends, a charcoal grill, some jazz on a speaker. We laughed, and for the first time I felt whole. We sat by the pool with our feet in the water and plates balanced on our laps. I caught myself laughing, genuinely. Someone asked, "How did you pull this off, Avery?" "I didn't know I could," I said. "Not until my room disappeared." Because that's when it all clicked. It wasn't the rejection, it was the truth behind it. I'd been fighting for scraps of their love, and now I was done. When someone pushes you out, you either collapse or you rebuild. I chose to rebuild. And now, each morning, I open my back door to a yard I designed, a pool I paid for, and a piece I crafted from scratch. Not to impress anyone, but to remind myself that I was never stuck, just underestimated. And I don't live there anymore. This was mine, and no one could take it away. No one handed it to me, no one encouraged me, no one believed in me out loud, but I did it anyway, and that changed everything. I don't speak to my mother anymore, not out of hate, just choice. You learn over time that you can love someone and still protect yourself from them. She called once, voice sharp. "You think you're above us now?" I stayed calm. "I think I'm finally me." She sends a text now and then. Birthdays, holidays, nothing personal, just a sentence or two. I usually reply with the same. That's the peace we've found. My dad and I talk occasionally. He doesn't mention the past. He asks about my work at the logistics company. He comments on the lavender in my yard. That's guilt in his eyes, quiet and unspoken. I let it sit. I'm not chasing an apology anymore. I don't need their validation to stand tall. I don't need it. Nora graduated high school last fall. I didn't go. We haven't spoken since the day she stood by my pool and called it a show. I think she knows she played a part in pushing me out. Maybe one day we'll talk. Maybe not. What matters is this. I'm not that girl on the den floor anymore. I'm the woman who built her own empire, one nail at a time. I've built a life with rhythm, with softness, with shelter. My house is small, but it's mine. I work remotely now for a logistics company. I'm not rich, but I'm steady. I cook my own meals, I make my own rules, and more than anything else, I respect myself. I don't fight to be seen anymore. I live where I'm valued. And that's the greatest victory of all. Because when they took my room, they made room for my clarity, for my freedom, for me, and I gave those things to myself. Now when I walk into my own home, there's no tension in my shoulders. I don't brace for judgment. I hang my keys on the hook by the door, cook what I want, and let music fill the room without needing headphones. I dance in my living room, unapologetic, alive. I swim when I feel like it. My peace comes first now. Sometimes I still catch my mum peering through her kitchen window. I don't wave. I don't hide. That chapter closed. She made her choices. I made mine. And I'll never regret the moment I stopped asking for permission and started choosing me. I choose me, and I'd choose me again every time. If you're listening and you feel stuck, if someone made you believe you're too much or not enough, I want you to know you are not a burden. You are not behind. You are allowed to build peace, even if it starts with a small room or a big dream. I gave my room to my sister while I was still in the house, so I gave myself the world. If this resonated with you, like the video, leave a comment. I read them all and subscribe for more real stories. I've got more to share. Your story matters too. Let's rise together. Until then, protect your peace. I'll see you next time. If you've ever felt like you were invisible in your own family, I see you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what moment made you realize you deserved better. Our story matters just as much as mine. Let's remind each other we're not alone in this. And if you're still in the thick of it, still waiting for your space, your chance, your voice, don't give up. You're stronger than their doubt. Keep going. You don't need permission to start choosing.